How y'all doing? Today we're going to do a homemade spaghetti and meatballs. Now I did a shorter version of this recipe, you know, kind of a semi-homemade deal, but today we're going to do everything, most everything from scratch. So we're going to get started with the sauce here. I got a fairly day, so it gets about 2 o'clock. We're going to get started on this and try to have it ready around 6 or 7. So we're going to get started on the sauce first. What I have is I've got a pan over here on the oven, heating up. I've got a little bit of olive oil in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to saute some of our vegetables first. I've got some of those vegetables I had left over, the frozen ones from last night. I've got some celery, some onions, some carrots, and some bell pepper in here. Got this on medium-high heat. We'll go ahead and saute those down. Get that going. I've also got some other fresh vegetables over here cut up, but we'll go ahead and saute these, let them thaw out and get a little bit translucent, and we'll go ahead and put some of the fresh vegetables in. Okay, now that those vegetables are pretty much thawed out, started to sweat, I've got some fresh onion that I just sliced up kind of thin. I'm going to put that in there because I just like this little onion strips in there. You can cut up smaller. Like I said, you can use all fresh, cut up small, or cut up in bigger chunks vegetables. However you like it. You like a chunky spaghetti or a not so chunky spaghetti. I tend to not really like too many chunks in mine. So I've got that in there. Now I'm going to get a little bit of fresh cracked black pepper. A few grinds of that. Now on top. Also, I'm going to go with a little bit of salt, a little bit of kosher salt, pinch, maybe 2 pinches. I'll just help that stuff to sweat. Go ahead and get that top on there and just let those onions start to sweat. Another thing to be good this time, I got some dry bay leaves. If you want to go ahead and put those in there, it's a good time to mix those in. If you got fresh, you don't want to put them there until a while later. Okay, while that's sauteing, just hanging out, all those flavors getting mixed up, turn your attention over here. I've got a smaller pan with a little bit of olive oil in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to saute some tomato paste in there. And what that does, when you saute that tomato paste, it gives it a nice sweet flavor. So I've got 1 can here of tomato paste, and we'll try to get that in there. So that 1 can, I've got, like I said, I've got about a tablespoon or so of olive oil in there. 1 can of tomato paste. And I've got me a silicone spatula over here and just some water. That'll help it not stick to it. Just going to kind of stir this tomato paste about. Now I'm going to leave it on relatively medium-low heat, and we'll just let this hang out and saute here for a few minutes while we heat the vegetables. Okay, the vegetables are going. I've got a pinch, about a teaspoon of dried basil, oregano, and thyme. It's just an Italian seasoning. Now it'll be a good time to add that. As I said, I'm just trying to get these vegetables nice and tender, except before I start adding any tomatoes or anything like that. They're really cooking, and that's good. So go ahead, you can really start to smell that Italian flavor from that seasoning I just put in there. At this point, I think my onions starting to really get soft. I'm going to let this go a couple more minutes and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, these vegetables have gotten to where I want them to be. Starting to see a little bit of brown bits on the bottom of that pan. Just a little bit. So I've got about a cup or glass of a dry red wine with Chardonnay here. I'm going to add it. Okay. Wow, it really bring out the taste. Especially the tomatoes. The tomatoes have some stuff that's just really alcohol, a little bit of alcohol tends to bring them out. Okay, I've got this wine in there. So now what I want to do is I'm going to add a can of stewed tomatoes. Alright, just nice stewed tomatoes. Those will give really good flavor to this. Just let all that simmer down in the wine. Wow, and it really smells great now, I'll tell you. Get everything mixed in there really good. And now would be a good time if you had some fresh spices you want to put in there. Actually, I may put a little bit of got some flat leaf parsley A little bit shredded up here. I may put a little bit of that in there. Don't hurt anything. Or if you had some fresh oregano, or maybe it'd be good. Go ahead and get my parsley mixed in. But you'll let this hang out and simmer for a few minutes, probably about 4 or 5 minutes, while that tomato paste finishes simmering over there in the corner. And once I get it simmered like I like it, I'm going to go ahead and mix these two together. Okay, if you can see this tomato paste, I just got it sizzling here and just kind of stirring that olive oil into it. Now just, it's not really going to change color. It'll get a little bit of a hint of brown to it, kind of turn like a burgundy color. Just going to keep stirring it, take it on and off the heat, like I said, for about 2 or 3 minutes until I think it's just ready. In the meantime, I've got the vegetables and the wine simmering on the back burner. Okay, I got the tomato paste pretty much how I like it. Went off and set it to the side just for a second. Then we'll add a tablespoon of minced garlic to this mixture here with the vegetables. We'll stir that in. Oh, you can just smell that garlic coming right up. You don't want to put that garlic in there when you're just sauteing the vegetables because you really don't want to burn it. Okay, now I'll switch out. Now I've got this tomato paste. If you can see how it's kind of turning maroon color, it's soaked up all that oil. I'm going to go ahead and just put it down here in the pan. And it's going to really thicken up this mixture. And with that sauteing dip with that tomato paste, it really brought out the sweet flavor from the tomatoes. So that'll help it a lot. Go ahead and stir this in. And it should thicken up a good little bit. This tomato paste. Oh yeah, you can see it's really thick now. It really looks nice. So what I want to do now is add some tomato sauce. We've got 1 can of tomato sauce. Go ahead and add it. Go ahead and stir this in. Now I've turned my burner, go ahead and turn it down to low. Because at this point, all this tomato in here, you definitely do not want it to burn. Okay, it's still pretty thick. So what I'm going to do, I have about a cup of water over there that I've been dipping my spatulas in. You can see, when I was stirring up tomato paste, I'm going to go ahead and add some of this. About half of that. Sure enough, because this is going to have to cook for a long time. It's really going to reduce some. So it looks wonderful. It smells wonderful. So I'm going to keep here. I'm going to keep stirring it. You've got to at least stir it about every 2 minutes on low here for a little while. And I'll show you something else you can do so you can leave the stove a little bit. Okay, you see how this sauce is just barely bubbling? That's how you want it to be. You don't want it to be boiling. So barely bubbling. Time to see those little bubbles about every 2 minutes or so minutes. And go ahead and stir this. You don't want that sauce to burn. You want to continue this process for, I'd say, at least about 30 minutes. And then, like I said, I'll show you a little trick where you can take a little break from the stirring. You can set this pot aside. Okay, sauce has been cooking here for about 30 minutes. At this point in time, you see how it's nice and thick, nice and velvety. What I'm going to do, since I don't like mine so chunky, here's a alternative you can do. I like to go ahead and give mine a little mash. Just with a potato masher. You could probably use one of those immersion blenders or something like that you stick in there. I don't have one of those, but I'm just going to smash up tomatoes and the vegetables and stuff like that in here. And right now I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat pretty much off or to low because I'm getting ready to transfer this. So you can use that idea I was telling you about where you don't have to sit here and stir and stir and stir. So go ahead and stir all this, bring everything up off the bottom. And I tasted it. It's really tasting good. What it's going to do is it cooks and cooks a couple hours. It's going to get sweeter and sweeter. So if it's not just quite sweet enough as you like it right now, don't worry about it. It's still going to get sweeter. Okay, here's that idea I was telling you about. I've got my crock pot tub here. And I'm going to go ahead and pour this into my crock pot container. And I just think this is a great idea to to where you can hold it at a constant temperature all around the sides, because you see the problem with just cooking on the oven is it gets real hot on the bottom. And your burner, it's going to keep it the same temperature even though you got less and less liquid in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it on my crock pot on low setting, and I can keep it that way for a couple hours, and I'll just check it every now and again and make sure I'm not losing too much of liquid. And I'm going to cover it as well. Right now we're going to start on the meatballs. I've got here in the bowl, I've got about two and a half stale hamburger buns here. Just half them other night, and I'd put them in the freezer and I thawed them out. So we're going to use that. I've got a can of evaporated milk. It's just a small can. Let's see how many ounces this is. This is 5 ounces of evap milk. I'm going to pour this evap milk on these hamburger buns because you want to get them moist. Almost like you're trying to make a bread pudding or something. Okay, get those hamburger buns all nice and moist. Get down in there a little bit and just make sure that all that evap milk in them. There we go. Just make kind of just a dough out of them almost. See, this is even better than breadcrumbs. This is really, really good. It gets kind of a sweet taste in my hamburger buns. Okay, so we see we got that all mixed in. Now I've got some dry seasoning here. I've got a teaspoon of garlic powder. I've got a teaspoon of basil, a teaspoon of oregano. Got about a little over a teaspoon of salt and about a half a teaspoon of cracked black pepper. Put that in there. Okay. It's going in. Then I have some vegetables. I've got just almost a whole sprig of green onions. Put those in. There's some good flavor there. And I've got some parsley. This was almost a thing of parsley, as much as I wanted to chop and de-stem and all that stuff. I'm just getting tired of that. So get that all in there. We'll go ahead and mix this around. Now this particular recipe I'm going to use for these meatballs comes from a friend of mine on YouTube's channel, 007 Bond JB, and he's been making these for a long, long time. So I'm going to try to replicate his meatballs as close as I can. So we'll go ahead and get that mixed up. Then I'm going to go ahead and get my ground meat out the refrigerator. Okay, I've got about 2 pounds of 80/20. Says Angus ground beef chuck 80/20. So we'll go ahead and put that in there. And get it out. Oh man, don't tell me it's still a little bit frozen there on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to get this in here. I'm going to bust it up as good as I can, and I'm going to turn the camera back on. And you also want to add some grated Parmesan cheese to this mixture. Nice 1/4 cup. Do real good. Alright, now we got everything mixed up. Go ahead and start making these meatballs, getting them over here in this pot that I made the sauce in. I'm trying to use up a little less pots than I did yesterday in here. So just go ahead and just make your little meatball here. About this size looks good to me, a little bit bigger than a golf ball. Now I like to just nestle them around this pot here. And you know, a lot of people cook them on a cookie sheet or something like that. I've done that before. That works too. What I like about having this pot is you know, it's cast iron, a real good conductor of heat. I've got my oven heating at 350. When I set in there and I cover it with all these meatballs in there, they're going to start to cook, and all that fat's going to start draining off of them, and they're just going to sit there and they're going to fry in their own fat, and they'll get a nice little outer crust, and it really makes them good. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these packed in here, and we're going to try to get them in the oven. Alright, got them all rolled up. Got my oven preheated. It's about 350. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pop them in the oven, put this cover on here. Now I'm going to check them about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, I got my meatballs out of the oven. Ended up doing a little bit of time and temperature adjustments with the oven. Ended up doing, instead of 20 minutes on 350, about 35 on 400. Seemed to do just right. They look perfect. Also, with my crock pot, I turned it on high temperature. Now I told you low earlier. You just want to make sure it's not boiling. You want it to be steaming, but you don't want it to boil. If we were going to leave it all day, if I wasn't here at the house, I probably would keep it on low. But I was here, I had to check it every 10 or 15 minutes, so I kept it on high. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these meatballs, I'm just going to let them drain just a little bit here. Now I've got my crock pot with my sauce over here, and I'm just going to put them right down into the sauce while it's in the crock pot. I'm just going to get each one out, and this way we won't have all that grease, and I'll put them right there in the sauce. Okay, so I got all my meatballs resting right down there, covered in the sauce. And I did now turn it down to low because I'm not going to be able to stir it with all the meatballs in there as well. So I'm just going to let those sit there for about an hour. And I'm tasting the sauce is wonderful. Also, what I've done, I got me out a little bit of taster here. And I know they're going to be good. Anyway, because I already did taste a little bit of it. We'll taste this here and see how it is. Man, you can smell the garlic, the green onions, and that cheese. And man, I know they're going to be good. Wow. That is fantastic. I'll tell you what, I have to go to JB at 007 Bond JB. Credit on this. This is a great meatball recipe. We'll let these meatballs hang out here in this sauce for about another hour, and then we'll cook up some noodles. Okay, got me some noodles ready here. Macaroni. Let's go ahead and get some of these meatballs and gravy. Wow. Look at that. That is just fabulous. Get another meatball on there. I tell you what, it takes a while to do it like this, but it's definitely worth it. I've been tasting and tasting, and it is just really fantastic. I will definitely, from now on, if I got time, I ain't never using that jar again. This is just wonderful spaghetti here with the meatballs and the red gravy. It is just really, really great. So I tried this, and it's fantastic. And the best thing about it, all those meatballs and gravy I got left over go in the refrigerator tonight, and they'll just be even better tomorrow when I get some bread and take some provolone cheese and make me a meatball sub.